Alright, now that we've charged the cartridges, we are ready to seat some bullets into them. So I got my bullet seating die here, and I'm going to raise my ram. I'm going to screw in my bullet seating die until it touches, if it's cooperative with me. This bullet seating die is old. I got it used a long time ago, and you can see how beat up it is. So, seen some better days. Sometimes those threads are a little grumpy going into the press. There we go. So we're touching. So most of them are going to be adjustable. There'll be a little knob up here that you can screw up and down for different heights of how deep or how not deep you want those rounds to be. Because normally you can load overall length to your preference depending on your gun, your rifling, what feeds better, what doesn't feed better. That's what you need to do to find out which ones your guns like the most, because each gun's different. But this is made for mass production, this die, and it's non-adjustable, so it's set just to SAMI specs. So what we're going to do, since it's old and a little worn out, we're going to back it off a little bit than what we normally would be. We're going to load one round, measure it to see if it's within case overall length specs, and then go back to see what we need. So for 9mm, we're looking for 1.169, I believe. So let's stick one in here and get our bullet. Stick our bullet in the case, which goes in nice and easy because it's flared. We flared it earlier. And we're going to seat that. And you can see that that one's way too far. So obviously this has been sitting around too much and you just had an oopsie. And that's why you get yourself one of them inertia hammers, because you can pop that right back out, reuse everything in here again like nothing happened. But obviously this is set way too far down, which is much more so than I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to be doing some adjusting on this, and I'll get right back to you. Alright, so we've adjusted our seating die so that it's properly seating them. For SAMI spec on 9mm, you want 1.169. We're at 1.169, so we're going to go ahead and continue seating the rest of our bullets. So we have 4 left, because we're not going to redo that oopsie round, which you will have that in load development and when you're first setting up a press, which is why you have the puller. So in theory, all those should be pretty much around where you want them to be. With pistols, you're not too worried about it as long as you measure the first 5 or 6 and make sure they're all around the same size you want them to be. For precision rifles and stuff, you measure every single one. There's a lot more steps to precision reloading. You do neck tension, you anneal, you do a lot of other stuff. I'm not going to get into that because this is a basic tutorial for those of you that want to get into it for fun or whatever. If you want to know about precision reloading, I'm not an expert on precision reloading. I barely load precision enough cartridges to be able to even shoot super long range. My super long range is like 1,000 to 1,200 yards. I'm not the one to go to about any kind of advanced reloading techniques or anything. I've been reloading for 7 years, but I pretty much just reload what I need. But in either case, we have our 4 rounds loaded, primed, ready to go, but we still need to crimp them, because if we don't crimp them, those are going to pop right back out when we chamber that round. So let's see how we crimp those. Now we have our crimp die. We're going to put our crimp die in, but we're not going to tighten it down yet. We're going to take one of our loaded cartridges, we're going to put it in the press, we're going to raise the ram up all the way. Then, while it's up all the way with one of the rounds in it, we're going to screw this die in until we feel it contact that cartridge. So we felt it contact the cartridge right about here. We're going to bring that lock ring down. Now you don't need a super aggressive crimp. The more crimp you have, the more pressure it creates. It'll increase your feet per second, but you don't want to create too much pressure. So we're going to do about 1/4 to 1/8 of a turn. We'll do a 1/4 turn. This is another one of the old dies. This is one of my really old sets. It's a used set. So I don't know how well that's going to perform because I haven't had it in a while. All my good dies are on my progressive press. I don't want to unset them. But we're going to see how that crimps. So right here, we have a crimp. we're going to make it a tiny bit more aggressive, because pretty much all that did was flatten that bell out. There we go. So you want it to taper very, very, very slightly inward. You don't need it to be a super aggressive crimp. You want it to grab the bullet, but you don't want it to dig into the bullet. So a way that you can tell if you're over crimping is if you pull that bullet either through the inertia hammer or any other way, and if you see scouring or issues on that bullet from coming out, you know that you have it over crimped. If you don't see too much of a deformation on that bullet and it looks like you can just load it again and shoot it again, it's probably a decent crimp, as long as you don't have issues with that obviously coming out of your gun. When you test your reloads, make sure to go out there and test them very safely, very slowly, methodically, one at a time, testing your chrono. Make sure that it's moving as fast as it should be coming out so that you avoid squibs, which means that the bullet gets stuck in your barrel and never comes out. But for the most part, this round only has one step left in the process. So let's do these other three with these crimps. And once you have the crimp set, you can just pop them out. This is where the turret press comes in handy, because you could have done all those steps with all the preset dies all at once instead of doing it in batches, so that you could just keep on popping out rounds all night. And then of course the progressive press does it all at the same time. So we'll be right back, and we're going to take a look at these case gauges. So as you can see, we have 4 case gauged rounds. They need to be able to fall in and out, go in, and come out. So those should be ready to shoot and test and do your round testing with them.